Welcome into Football Night New York, Living Room Edition, Draft Week Edition, which means full house. Jonas Schwartz, Eamon McAnaney, Jeane Coakley, Ralph Vacchiano getting ready to take you through what will be a busy draft week for the New York football teams. And let's get right to it right off the bat. Ralph, do both New York football teams need to take an offensive tackle in the first round so they can protect their young quarterbacks?
Absolutely they do, especially the Giants. Look, we've been talking about Dave Gettleman and his hog mollies for what seems like an entire lifetime, yet he has basically not drafted offensive linemen. I think he's drafted 2 in his first 2 drafts, and one of them was a 7th rounder. The offensive line is not good. He even admitted last week that Nate Solder has been struggling. It's time to start getting good young tackles. He's in a great position at number 4 to take the best one on the board. And while the Jets may not get the best one, Joe Douglas has been focused on that line. He knows he still has more work to do. It's a great opportunity for both teams.
Yeah, completely agree with you, Ralph. You're talking about a Jets team that gave up 52 sacks last season, and you're talking about a Giants team that gave up 43. You got to protect these young quarterbacks. Daniel Jones, if you're protected, and so does Sam Darnold. You can't get the ball if you're on your back and you're under pressure all the time. We talk about protecting these quarterbacks. How about their running backs? Saquon Barkley needs a line to run behind, and Le'Veon Bell needs a line to run behind. You have to get good offensive line. It starts from the trenches, and both teams are in great opportunity to get an offensive tackle to start off.
And also, Jeane, for the Jets, they should be able to get a playmaker in the passing game later on in the draft because this draft is stockpiled with wide receivers. All right, let's stick with the Jets here, Jeane. Jamal Adams, once again, making news. No movement whatsoever on a contract extension for the safety, so he's talking about a virtual holdout. I think we're all having a virtual holdout here, but Jeane, obviously, he's always in the news. Should the Jets entertain trade offers for their safety before the draft?
All right, listen, Eamon, at the end of the day, this is a business. So, yes, if someone's going to call Joe Douglas and say, listen, I'm going to give you a first-round pick, I'm going to give you that, he's got to entertain these opportunities, and he has to be like, you know what, yes, I have to make my team better. I understand where Jamal Adams is coming from. He is a once-in-a-lifetime safety. This guy is good. He's special. He's a game changer. But he's under contract for 2 more years. The Jets have control of this. Yeah, I know he's making $3.5 million a season. That's way below what safety should be making. I understand he wants more money. And Joe Douglas said, listen, I want him to be a Jet for life. And I know that will probably happen. Probably not as soon as what Jamal Adams had. But like I said, end of the day, it's a business. Joe Douglas has to do what's best for the entire team.
Yeah, and I don't think that they should trade Jamal Adams, but I think they have to absolutely listen. You always need to be open to that offer that you can't refuse. At the last trading deadline, from what I was told, the Jets were looking for a first-round pick plus, whether that plus was another player or another first-round pick or a second-round pick, depends on who you ask, but that's a lot for a safety. If someone's willing to offer that, absolutely they have to think about it. And one big reason is because we now know about this virtual holdout, even though Jamal Adams has really no leverage on the Jets for another couple of years. That's a sign that this is not going to be quiet or easy, and minimizing distractions is important. So if they get the feel that Jamal Adams will become a distraction, yeah, if there's an offer out there, they might have to think about taking it.
It's funny. I sort of get the feeling here that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do in this spot. The player, Jamal Adams, who's great, should be exerting pressure on the franchise to try and get him to do something they don't have to do. They can tag him for a few years. So they have his control for a long time. Eamon, the only way I'm considering, even starting to think about it, is this. 1, 2 twos, and a starting offensive lineman. And nobody, I think, is giving that for Jamal Adams right now, or any safety.
No, that's for sure. But I like Ralph's point about quiet and distractions. I think those go hand in hand with Jamal Adams sometimes. Tremendous player on the field, but obviously he tends to make some noise off the field as well. All right, Ralph, now we heard you say the Giants have to go offensive tackle, but I know there's going to be a premier quarterback. I shouldn't say I know. No one knows anything about the draft. But I believe there's going to be a premier quarterback still on the board when the 4th pick comes up, and that's Tua. Would you think at all, if you're Dave Gettleman, about drafting Tua out of Alabama and then maybe trading off Daniel Jones somewhere else?
Yeah, I would not. I think that at this point, first of all, I think they are committed to Daniel Jones, even though Joe Judge has refused to say his name since becoming the Giants coach. I think that they like him. They like the progress he showed. They spent a lot of time studying him, talking to him last year, developing him last year. They believe in him. And Tua, for the reasons of his hip injury, for the reasons that he's never played in the NFL, he's a bit of an unknown. Maybe some will say there's a better upside, but the Giants think Daniel Jones is a pretty good upside. And, even though other teams have done it, we know the Cardinals drafted quarterbacks back-to-back years. It can set you back a little bit. Unless they've decided Daniel Jones stinks, which I don't think they have, I don't know why you would do that. You need to be drafting people to work with him, not looking in another direction.
Oh, I completely agree. There's no way this is happening, Eamon. I understand your point. I see it. But this is Dave Gettleman. He's got to hit a home run. And getting Tua with that fourth pick isn't happening. In fact, if Joe Judge isn't going to say Daniel Jones' name, imagine if he has to say Tua's name, okay?
Eamon, I've known you a long time, all right? I've always found you to be a very reasonable, sensible person. You keep beating the drum on this one. I never understand why. Daniel Jones is what Dave Gettleman got right. Why does he want to go back on that? He got this pick right.
A year ago, all three of you would have laughed in my face if I said Daniel Jones is going to be a better NFL quarterback than Tua.
But then
everyone would have. Everyone mocked the Daniel Jones pick. And I love this idea that he had some great year. He exceeded expectations. He didn't go to the Pro Bowl. And I also say this time last year,
he did not have a good year as a rookie quarterback in the National Football League for the Giants. He did not. You tell me he did not?
That was a pretty good rookie year.
He exceeded expectations. He also can't hold on to the ball. Did he not fumble the ball like a loaf of bread? I mean, let's not put this guy in Canton and steal from Bill Parcells.
Yeah, but Tua has a hip injury. Do we know what Tua's going to do?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, look, this time last year, the Bears thought they had their quarterback of the future. Now they hate Trubisky out there in the Windy City. So quarterbacks, can change like that in the NFL. We know that.
Eamon said a year ago we wouldn't have had Daniel Jones at it too. Well, a year ago I wouldn't have sworn to you that the draft would be done in a virtual fashion. Jeane, how do you think this is going to work? How much tougher will this be on the general managers? And then also just how great is this that we have an actual sporting event to talk about?
Listen, I'm actually super excited about this. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what they're going to do, how this is going to happen. I love the NFL draft, especially that first day. That's what you want to see. But let's be realistic. This is going to be a disaster. I mean, look at us trying to get these Zoom calls situated. We can barely do it. I mean, we're depending so much on technology. You have to depend on a GM calling in, the Wi-Fi, who's going to get this, who's going to get that. Are the players going to be there? I mean, there's just too many things that can go wrong that are going to go wrong. But it's going to be really fun to watch it all happen.
Oh, boo-hoo for all those general managers and coaches who are worried about how this is going to work. The entire world is working from home. Yeah, we have glitches and all that. We figure it out. They'll figure it out too. But I will say this. They're nervous about it. And I hear more and more from NFL sources, we're worried about phones cutting out and Zoom calls cutting out and things like that they won't have all the information they usually have. The two things I think that are going to happen, you're going to see them rely much more on what they know, drafting a player that they've had contact with, that they know his college coach, probably fewer reaches on small school guys they haven't really had a chance to look into. And the other thing is it might impact trades. I think that I've heard GMs say this more and more over the last few days. They want to have these trades ready so they don't have to think about anything else when they're on the clock. So if the Giants are thinking about trading down from 4, if they don't have something set up before the draft, no one's going to be able to call Dave Gettleman with 5 minutes to go on the clock and make a deal. He's just going to feel like he doesn't have that kind of time to do it.
I just want to make sure that we have the FBI and the CIA monitoring whatever Bill Belichick is doing and how he's trying to hack into the Jets' phone all throughout draft night. That's what I want to make sure of. Guys, great stuff. We'll be here all week talking it all the way through. Jeane Coakley, Ralph Vacchiano, Eamon McAnaney, Football Night New York coming your way all week long.